Slide down here a little help. Oh, cloaked. Well, good evening, one and all. And for those of you that never watched me before, I go by 8 Wind is Timeless, or you might know me as Starface, or even Time Lord. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show, and I am 8 Wind is Timeless, and I am the holder of the continuous ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. I'm also the Galactic Daddy-O, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. Welcome one, welcome all. And as always, tonight's sponsor is Drakkar Essence for the man who has nothing. There's Drakkar. And the beer of choice tonight is Alaska's Amber Ale. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. And the cigar featured tonight is definitely Acid Blush. So, let's see here. You know, the game just got done. Not surprised. You kind of see the way the game was unfolding. But I tell you, I've been called a lie. I got to do a little more research. But hey, PJ, Sean, Anise, thank you for joining. Yeah. Greg Deep, CJ Jordan, thank you for joining. Jay Brown, hey, what's happening? Run it up. Bucks winning it all. Well, that's usually how they do it. They usually don't like teams that haven't won it. They don't let them win it, and that's what we just been seeing. Strong discernment. David Sloan, Lorenzo, James Light. What's happening? Mr. Taylor, what's happening? Oh, I have to send it again then. Okay, I'll send it out again. Greg Deep. Space Jam was a horrible movie. Chris didn't show up. Oh, a little bit. Edward, what's happening? Alanard, thank you for joining. Yeah, I got early. Let me get this right. Let me get this right and send it out again. We was gonna do a little bit of we was gonna do a little bit of sharing. So give me a second as I get this out. Maybe I didn't do something right. Ah, here we go. This will probably be better. That is it. All right. That will probably be a little bit better. And we'll go over the game a little bit. That should have did it. Ah, there we go. PJ that's in our chat is going to be joining us, PJ Allen. So
Yes, sir. How y'all
let me put my
doing?
headphones on. Or I ain't gonna be able to hear him.
Yeah, I had to set up something real quick.
All right. You can hear me, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right.
How you doing?
I am smooth. You know that's my favorite word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, I think you got as many hats and shoes behind you as I got.
Oh yeah. Remember I was telling you. I said we got a lot of light.
Oh,
Yeah. This the I'm about to turn it into like a wardrobe room. So
bet.
yeah. So that's all in here. How y'all
You might
doing
have to
out there?
turn me off. I'm hearing the echo. So
Let me see.
I think you can still keep this going, but turn off the YouTube.
Okay. YouTube.
Yeah, and that should fix it.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
All
So
right.
my first question is, what interests you in the channel?
Truth be told, I was on Sly's channel one day and he was talking about you, and it was something. And see, a lot of stuff that I come across on his channel, I think about it, but I don't say nothing. You know, people think you crazy. It was something he said, and he said, "Yeah, Egg when they took his channel away." So I said, "If they took his channel away, he must have been saying some stuff." So that's when I picked up on you, and you know, been rolling ever since. Shout out to
Bet.
Sly as well. Shout out to
Oh,
Sly.
definitely. Always out to the young brother.
Yeah.
He knows. Um, so tell us about yourself. As much as you want to reveal. Tell
Let's see.
people about you and what part of you ain't got to say what city, but what part of the country you in.
I ain't got no problem telling nobody. I'm born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. I lived out in Virginia. I got kids out in Virginia. Um, and I moved back home. So moved back to Dayton. I am a criminal justice major. I have my master's in it.
Nice.
And I'm just trying to get a job in that field. But other than that, I'm a sports lover. Well, as much as I can love it with me knowing what's going on with it. And
You
that was
know.
another.
Go
That was
ahead.
another. Huh? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
That was another thing too. I always thought, like with football games and stuff, like the manipulation of the thing, and watching people get real mad and want to fight with the stuff being rigged. It was goofy. So I said, man, started tapping more into that. But yeah, right now, as far as work, I work at D-Max. We do that diesel engine for the Duramax um, truck. So I'm sitting there right now. That's where I be uh, turning you on at walking around with my headset on. So sometimes I'm hearing you, and sometimes I don't say nothing because I'm walking around.
Bet.
So
Bet. That's
Yes, sir.
outstanding that the Midwest still has, the automotive, some still automotive jobs and automotive facilities. That's kind of cool.
One of the last ones standing.
Because I know, like when they closed the Fisher Body, where my stepfather was able to get about 28 years in, a lot of them got sent to Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
It was still planted in Toledo, and then my stepfather ended up going to Pontiac, and that's like on the other side of Detroit.
Right,
but,
right.
But what I was going to say is, how many times have you been to the Football Hall of Fame?
I may have rolled past it. I may have rolled past it. My one of my homeboys from Virginia, he's going up there when they do the I guess the Raiders are playing. He's a big Raiders fan. Yeah. So he's going up there in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, man, I didn't even know he got tickets already and stuff. So but
what's funny you say that, it was a dude over my house yesterday. He went to the game today. They flew down to Phoenix. Like he now let me tell you how beautiful this story is. Okay. His best friend lives on the reservation. He getting a big $1 million house built. He's about 19 or 20, drive a brand new not Explorer, but Navigator. He has a brand new Navigator, but he's paying this cat's college education. Dang. He's already paid 2 years of his education, his best friend. And like this guy, his father left him. He used to live with me. Wow. But so they flew to the game tonight, they big balling. But it's funny. I've been, growing up in Michigan, I've been to the Hall of Fame in the 70s like 5 times.
Wow.
It's like a group. One of my early mentors, he took me twice. My father took me twice, and then my stepfather and my mother, we went once. And it's like, I haven't been since then, so it's completely changed. When I went, the heads had their own thing, and it had a thing of them in action. Now they got the old heads all together. They don't have that individual picture. So that's how long ago I've been.
They did some remodeling. Now I heard that the first actual game was played here at a park called Island Park.
The Canton Bulldogs?
Yeah, I think it was them. They played right here in Dayton, like right here at this park, and then they moved everything up north.
Yeah, probably Jim Thorpe probably played in that game too. Even though he was the president of the NFL, Jim Thorpe was also he also played for Canton in the beginning of his football career.
Man, look where it's at now. Look where it's at now. Wow.
Yeah. But that's why when you walk in, it's a big statue of him.
Okay.
And they trying to
one of these days.
They suck off his energy too, though. He was one of the greatest athletes ever, and so they put that's what the statues is all about. They're still trying to pull that energy in. It's like, if you notice when you go to supermarkets, old stars, dead people be on the magazines.
Yeah,
that's the energy that's out there.
Right.
The energy that's out there right now.
Wow. So, okay. Yeah, it all makes sense.
Because I saw Prince, like, in one day I was getting water, and I saw Prince. I was like, look at this. So they got that Prince energy out there. The bloodsuckers that can feed on it. They get that magazines, and they kind of make him alive again. They think, by their interest, they kind of make that thing alive again.
They make them immortal.
Absolutely.
And as a kid, I was one of the goofy kids at first. I'm looking at Prince, and I'm like, man, who does this do with these heels and stuff? But my parents, they went to everybody's concert, but they stayed at his. And I finally took time out to listen to the music as a youngster. And I'm like, I shouldn't be saying or thinking of this right now. You know what I mean? So, but later on, I was like, hey, he was on to something. I think one of his greatest assets came before his greatest album probably was what? Purple Rain? Would you say Purple Rain?
Probably, because it came out with the movie and everything. My ex-wife growing up, because she's 47, I think, and that, she was a young teenager when that came out, about the Nicki song and all of it, but she knew it all. It was that popular.
Yeah, he was funky too. He was yeah. But yeah, they went to all those kind of concerts and stuff, and I grew to, appreciate, man, he played all them instruments. Yeah, so that's why they striving off of that energy. I think I said in the chat the other day, we talked about somebody passing on. No, that's what I was going to talk to you about tonight. I saw an insert where Akon, it looked like they were trying to start something when they said this. They were talking about the slavery bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he said they shouldn't be throwing that out there like that, which is true.
Yeah.
But other people saying, yeah, you know about your heritage, man. I don't want to know about something, just like you said, that stuff is manipulated as well. That's the story on that. So, but
Well,
yeah, I was going
it's the thing is the winner writes the history.
right.
And in the history that they wrote, they want to erase it. That's the thing. It's the stuff they wrote.
That's what hurts.
Their people told the truth on the butchery that happened. And
Right.
so they wrote that. And now they saying that they don't even want that out there anymore. You know what they wrote.
Right. It's ugly, but
it's very ugly. But all we got to do is work on self.
Right.
What did you think of? No. You tell your story. I'm not gonna tell your story. You sent that information about the player and the commercial. I'm gonna let you tell that. You tell that
about the player and the presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Presentation.
Okay. Give me a second here, because
okay.
When you said write something down, the whole thing about having notes is for me to look down a little bit, but
absolutely.
Okay. Also, some of the Zach stuff is in here, or some of that gematria stuff is in here too.
Okay.
Terrence Clark. Well, let me start off by saying I went to work Sunday, clocked in or whatever. I turned ESPN on. I see the NBA Pro Day up there. I'm like, okay, they got all these young kids coming out. They look like they're running drills. And I'm like, okay, they're not playing no one-on-one or nothing. But they jumping up, dunking. There's a kid that jumped up in his head on the rim.
Oh.
So as time goes on, I started to wonder. I said, why do they got this number 5 on? Everybody has number 5 on, different last name. Right then, I thought about the day after Kobe died and how they had people wearing his number. Didn't they have like Trae Young and Devin Booker wearing? Didn't they do something with that?
Well, LeBron and them came out for warm-ups. Each LeBron and they came out together and both wore, one had 8 and one had 24.
See, so I instantly thought about that. I thought about our conversation pertaining to the subject. I also looked and saw, after they were running around, the kid hit his head on the rim. So I say, dang, I'm gonna throw this in there. This is how I think. All of a sudden, at the end, they throw this big video up, and they start crying and stuff. So I'm not paying attention to who was on the video. I look and see it was the Terrence Clark kid. I said, wow. Let me tell 8-Win about this, because it wasn't sitting right with me. Like, now I got somebody to talk to about this stuff when it happens. So I think after I saw the Boston Red Sox, and I know he's from some part of Massachusetts as well.
Okay.
But when I saw that Boston Red Sox jersey, I said, LeBron sacrificed that kid.
Ooh.
I said that right there. And I'm like, in the video of his car accident, it just shows a car flying up the street and crashing. I guess it crashed into a car and a wall. But they never say what and how or what injuries, he sustained. They just say he's dead. I was digging today. And if anybody in the chat knows, can you put it up there so I'll know? I'm kind of thinking it was some kind of head trauma, because the boy hit his head on the rim. He knew doggone well he could jump up in arms all above the rim. But I was thinking about that too. He hit his head on the rim and he got down and he was running. So, but that was the main thing. So that was what? That was Saturday?
Like last Saturday, maybe.
When was the home run derby?
Last Thursday or Friday. I want to say Thursday.
So that came on before. Okay. When I looked up and seen them guys with the Hank Aaron number, every last player had a 44 on.
Yep.
I said they performed a ritual.
Yep.
Performed a ritual.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's the whole facade. People say, people die of natural causes, etc., etc. I get it. But when it comes to these stars, I don't believe that no more. I'm sorry. That's out of belief. I don't think these people are dying like they say they are. And that's why I hit you with that message that night, and I was like, "This ain't sitting right. None of this stuff is sitting right with me anymore." You know,
Exactly.
everything leading on to what's going on now, as far as what you want to call it, the plunge, the plunge, everything leading with that.
Exactly.
I mean, it just doesn't sit right. So that's a lot of what I got out of it. And I mean, to think about it, the Terrence Clark kid was signed to that management company, that sports management.
I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah, they did him in. He had a pretty decent college career too, didn't he?
And yeah, he was decent. And this is the thing that you got to consider. If they signed him to their brand, they might have put out a life insurance policy too.
Right. I hear they doing that with a lot of the young rappers that are getting caught up in this stuff. Real easy. We can look up and see. There's not too many of these new guys that I'm itching to hear. They say they're using certain rappers as gatekeepers to get them in and get rid of them.
I mean, the baby is, how did he get a gatekeeper so quickly? How is he signing so many guys? And he's had what, a couple hits, really? I mean, it's really elevated his position they put him through. Where
he done had more right. He done had more mixtapes than anything, but his albums are coming rapidly.
Yeah.
It was him as a couple of other guys. I mean, there's some talent in the mix there, but some of this stuff is garbage, and they getting guys up under them. I believe they greasing them up. You let them put out an album or two, maybe not. They might pop smoke them, and that's it. Next thing you know, such and such died, such and such got shot. I think they lining them up. Same with, I mean, this was odd. An athlete, that's an odd story.
Very odd story.
That's an odd story. You know, you talked about Lynn Bias. You talked about some of the other guys that passed, and how you broke down how stuff happened in between the time of there. I mean, that's what had me thinking about this, and I'm like, this ain't right.
Right.
It just didn't sit right.
I feel you there. It really, like, even like the Bismarcky thing. Yes. Remember, they reported weeks ago, and then they was like, no, but he was in hospice, so you know that he was failing. I mean, they only put you in hospice when you kind of failing to make you more comfortable.
That's funny you brought that up. I just saw a video. Basically, when they said he was dead, he was dead.
Weeks ago.
They lined them numbers up.
Yep.
See, I only know a little bit about this, a little bit about that. So the numbers equate. There's a certain equation that comes up every month, and those are the ritualistic days. And this was one of them. They heard they said he was dead. What you say? A couple weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago, if not a month ago.
Yeah, he probably been whatever they do. Yeah. So
and they have to, because it goes like this, and Zach breaks it down. But what basically the way they do it is, they look at the numbers on when he had his most success in them days and all that release. And like my son and I, as we was riding, he even said that was a song on his playlist. And my son, 18, that song came out when I was in my 20s, because this cat's only 3 years younger than me. So this came out back in the 80s. He only really had one hit. I mean, his beatboxing, people don't even really know. You'd have to really be a hip hop to know him more as a beatboxer as well. But yeah. So that it puts all that together. Like, when was your success? And then that's also determines how you die and when you die.
When you die.
And when you die. So.
They saying these fools getting caskets, and the priest tell them how long they're gonna live. Hey, this is crazy. But I looked at that one, and everything as they put lined up, and I'm like, man, what kind of sick world are we in? I mean, needless to say, I mean, amongst everything else that's going on, it's like this is like Twilight Zone type stuff. Now, especially now, it's heightened. So
it is.
But I looked up and saw that, and it was something else they said about him. Like, I think from his next birthday somewhere 38 lined up in there, and it said, 38 is the number for murder.
Yeah.
It's like a whole.
And like they call a gun a 38. I mean, it's that kind of thing. So it's
Right.
like that murder, death, kill thing.
Murder, death, kill. Yeah. So
it definitely is that.
That I looked up and saw that as suspicious because that's the same thing that happened with DMX.
Mm-hmm.
While I was out of town, they said he died on 4321, which is the LL Cool J song he's on with Red and Meth.
Right.
4321, but then they say, oh, he's alive. So they lined him up for that date.
Yep.
Crazy world, crazy world.
And it's like his last album, and I love music. I mean, I'll give every music a chance, but his last album, his voice was so weak, even with all the help, it didn't sound like a strong voice coming. It was very strained, a lot of help.
Yes.
And that was always my knock of Tupac. Tupac, like when you listen to them on stage, where Biggie's on stage and Biggie performs, and then Tupac performs, you see that Tupac didn't have a natural live voice. He was made more to record in a studio than be live because he just didn't have a strong delivery. Where Biggie, it didn't matter. His delivery was strong no matter what. And that's what I listened to when I listened to DMX's new one. I'm like, wow. They gave him a lot of help and a lot of help of people being on it too.
Right.
So, and it just didn't do it to me.
The only song to me off that album that sounded like he was into it was the one he did with the Griselda guys. Everything else sounded copy and paste. I swear. Yeah. And it seemed like Swizz has a big hand in this. I mean, to me, it seemed like he has a big hand in it. He was going around promoting it for the first couple of weeks, and they were together. He wanted to go. He gave his whole story and spiel. I don't trust that guy. He's just one of the ones. I wouldn't rub shoulders with any of them guys. They that just sounded too scandalous to me. Something wasn't adding up.
And the funniest thing with DMX is like when they did his Lifetime show and they showed his wife, and he had to tell his wife that he was a crack addict. And she was like, no, not crack. Did you ever see that one where she goes, no, not crack?
Crack, yeah. I see it.
Like it's a different kind of crack. Like, no, I'm taking this other kind of crack here. The good kind of crack. I'm not on the bad kind of crack.
Yeah. I heard it
thought that was funny.
Yeah, that crack, like you say, like for real? Yeah, for real. Yeah, he got, from his story, he got laced up and probably still been chasing that high.
I talked about that last night. My wife's relatives, these 60-year-olds that still do crack, still do crystal meth. And it's like, wow. And they look terrible. They're like so aged that it just is mind blowing.
Dried up. They all dried up and looking like prunes or whatever. And yeah, that stuff is crazy. But yeah, that whole scenario with that is suspect as well. Like,
and what we know from like the heroin addicts of the 60s and the 70s is that's a way to control them.
Right.
Like what they would do with Richard Pryor. You see Richard Pryor on Johnny Carson coming from Africa where he been clean and they kept that shit away from him. He is powerful. He is powerful.
I know what I meant to tell you.
Okay.
There's a Parliament Funkadelic or George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic documentary on IMDb TV. It popped up on my on the Fire Stick.
Okay.
They basically dogged George. And one thing was they was wondering where their money was.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about how he paid them?
No, how'd he pay them?
He kept getting them crack.
He
paid them with crack.
Wow.
And they said, yeah, he would pay. And it sounds like to me the same thing that Birdman was doing with BG and all them and Cash Money. Mm-hmm. Keeping him high so he wouldn't ask about that money.
Exactly.
So yeah, I said, yeah, let me tell Uncle about this because it was painting. It even showed it. I mean, y'all, that's y'all era. That's y'all's era. I mean, I love Joe. I love Parliament. Mm-hmm. They showed where he came up out that UFO like with a thing on, butt naked, man.
They show him with a dress. He wears a dress. And let me I'm gonna run down. But like it's the same thing when you watch Cadillac Records. He was buying them the cars. You know, that was their crack back then, was getting them a nice car.
Instead of giving them the money.
Exactly, instead of getting them. And then later he cracked for a house. Even getting a house, you know, give me my own money, I buy my own house.
Buy my own house. Yeah, that's because they was controlling that so that, I mean, you got to think, if you sit up with a business, if you sit up with somebody, and I think that's how a lot of businesses run, they pay you enough to live.
Oh, absolutely.
But once you start getting enough money to where you can make your own business, something starts to happen. Or they only pay you enough so you don't think about getting a business. So,
yeah,
that's
what I was saying. The dude I used to ref with, you know, we was kind of like, man, it's somewhere where y'all need to be paying us a little more. The dude got to saying, because they would pay our rooms and like they would charge us $15-20. But he got to talking that shit to me, and I'm like, I'm the wrong dude you need to talk to that about. So I turned it around. I said, well, wait a minute. He said he talked about how much a hotel expense, and I already knew the expense. So I was like a lawyer asking him a question. I already knew the answer. And so he was talking. He went through how much he paid on hotels, and I'm like, well, how much did you clear, baby? Yeah. Oh, that he turned red in the face and he didn't know what to say. He brought his other partner in. Like, you don't ask somebody about how much. I'm like, then he shouldn't be talking. You're gonna talk business. Let's talk about the business. You're not talking to these young boys to take anything. I know business.
Right.
And so, you're right about that. That's how they do it. They'll cheat. You know, it's like what I've seen in my family. I've seen in my family where the best sibling. The sibling with the most money would steal the most from the family. I mean, like when people would die, they would be the greediest.
Greedy.
They would be the greediest. You got family members that needed to help more, and instead of distributing these extra funds and you take less, it's been the opposite.
Right.
It's been the opposite where the greedy people already got it. They want more. It's like we don't care about them. I had a relative that was doing that pyramid coffee shit. You ever seen that shit they doing? Where they sell coffee in this pyramid?
I've seen them doing it, but you know when they start talking crazy, I
had a relative. She had 5 brothers and sisters. Behind their back, she took all their Social Security numbers because when my uncle died, a lot of the, you know, she was getting that, putting, you know, filling stuff in, but she took all their Social Security numbers and started their coffee franchises to boost her numbers up.
Wow.
Yeah, and then later her relatives found out about it, and she had to, you know, take them off because she had already achieved what she needed to achieve. But that's how dirty she was.
Wow. I know some people was doing that with them vacuum cleaners. That's a pyramid. That was a pyramid scheme. Yeah. But them high price vacuum cleaners, they were doing that around here with them vacuum cleaners. Same thing you just said.
Well, you know, they was trying to say the vacuum cleaner was $3,000-4,000, and I know that my stepmother got one for like $700-800. So every time they would give me that thing, I'm like, yeah, I'll pay. They like, because you know they would always say you could pay on time, you know, get installments where they charge you interest, and they gonna charge you as much as a car for a damn vacuum cleaner.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, any of them. Now I got a couple of. I don't know what this guy does, man. I look up every other week. He's on the island. He was doing a pyramid scheme, and he tried to get me on. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. But I don't know what he's doing. Something with some traveling. And he's still going, even during the pandemic, he's still going, getting new BMWs. I mean, I said, man, I think if I want to keep my friendship with him, I'm going to stay over here because that sounds like a scheme. But you getting it.
I think what you're talking about is my friend that was a Globetrotter. He lived out here by me. And like we had, when I was with my ex, we had signed up. We had already paid our cruise. So we had a cruise we had already paid. It cost us like $3,200-3,300 for me, her, and our daughter. And like he came to me, you know, because what you could do is you could pay ahead on the trip. You could start paying on the trip now, but it's this pyramid scheme. You could start paying installments now, and then whenever you want to go on a trip, you could go anywhere. It was almost like the vacation homes. It was very similar to that. You know how you could get one of them timeshares and you pay on the time. It was very similar to that. And I kept telling the cat, I'm like, Tyrone, our shit is paid for. We leaving in January. Why would I start paying for another trip? I say, through the people we deal with, we're going to get a discount anyway for going.
Right.
So he came over. He came over one more time. Last time he came over, I thought he was setting me up, but nothing came out about it. But that's what it felt like. It felt like, I wasn't really hustling. It was like a friend helping a friend. With no
Right.
hustling really involved.
With no
Like,
hustling.
can you do this? And like, yeah, I can do that for you. Come by.
Right.
And I ain't seen him again. And I felt, but then he called me. It's like, well, can you sign up for this? I'm like, Tyrone, didn't we just have this conversation a week ago? You already know I paid for mine.
Right.
So.
Right. Trying to double talk. He's trying to double talk you into something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I seen where that stuff can bring up a fight.
Oh, absolutely.
You scheming and scheming. You scheming people you love. You got to see these people.
Well, the greatest example of that is Ramil Robinson. Remember what he did to his mother, his foster mother or adopted mother? Remember, he was in trouble with all that money, and he got her to mortgage his house because he was like $2, $3, $4 million in debt, and he got her to mortgage her house to help him keep his pyramid scheme going, and she lost the house. And then when they interviewed him, he was like, had no empathy for her, that she was about to be kicked out. And luckily the people in the area helped her out and she helped her keep her house. But this was like, he was one time a pro basketball player and she helped raise him, put him in camps.
Put him in camps and stuff.
Put him in a position because he went to Michigan.
Right.
So that means you gotta have a little bit up here.
Yeah.
You ain't not taking them classes in Michigan. You taking them classes.
Taking them classes. I remember number 22, right? Ramil Robinson.
Maybe 22, 21, something like that. I won't say 21. He played on the 89 championship team with Glenn Rice.
Come to find out, wasn't he Jamaican?
When she adopted or she adopted him. Yeah, I think she adopted him out of Jamaica. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
That's how he did her. And had no remorse when they interviewed him. He got about 10, 15 years for that.
Yeah. What was that? Him and was that the same year Mookie Blaylock got caught up in some mess?
I don't think they was connected though.
No, I wasn't connected. But yeah, it seemed like a bunch of the guys from that draft or around that time they played with each other. All of them were getting in trouble for something.
It's like, I don't know if you remember Jay Vincent. You ever heard of him?
Jay Vincent.
And Jay Vincent had a younger brother named Sam Vincent. Sam played with the Bulls for a minute.
Yeah.
But Jay went to Michigan State with Magic. But that championship year, he was kind of hurt. He's on the team. He got better as when they won a championship. But he played a couple of years after Magic. He ended up getting drafted, probably won, but not in the lottery. And he played for the Mavericks, and he bounced around the league. This dude was out of Lansing. He was about 6'8". Sam's older brother, but he got caught up in trying to move money around. He got about 6-7 years prison.
Wow.
Wire fraud. And I ain't telling nothing that you can't publicly find out, but he was on wire fraud. Then I was seeing posts on Facebook every now and then, kind of laugh. I'm keeping the strength up, y'all. They give him so much time on the computer, and I was like, wow,
that's crazy.
How do brothers mismanage money so easily that they got to start stealing from other people? And it ain't like everybody, it ain't. I'm just not saying brothers do it, but I'm saying that how do these athletes get caught up in this so much?
It's the greed factor, and then depending on like you were talking about Kwame's pension, depending on that pension, when that pension fall, they would probably live in another lifestyle, sit up here, had this, that, and so on, girlfriend, this and many kids or whatever, and now you're not hooping, you're not getting those bonus checks, you're not getting those yearly bonuses, you're not getting that money. And they want to stick up with that lifestyle, and they say, well, by any means necessary, I guess.
I mean, what do they say about NFL players? 5 years after retirement, most of these dudes is broke.
They broke.
And it's like the money is so crazy that how? Just how is that possible? The mismanagement so much that, but black families, we know how the black families is. Get mama a house, mama a car, get a cousin a car, maybe daddy a car. And we are taught to extend ourselves so wide, and it's hard for some dudes just to say no.
Absolutely.
And you just got to say, we can't do that. Can't help you this time.
But then you get guys like who was that I heard? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers don't share.
No.
I heard he don't share.
Well, you remember the beef he had with his brother? His brother was on maybe Bachelor or some shit, like Jesse Palmer was on Bachelor, and then his brother was on, I think, Bachelor too.
Oh wow, I didn't catch
He
that.
played at Maybe his brother played at Long Beach State. Seemed like his brother might have been on the bench of Packers for a year too. I think he might have sat on the bench for a year, but I think he quarterbacked at Long Beach State. I could be wrong about that. I'm not quite sure. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that was basically it with them rituals and stuff. You catch every one. When we up here talking, you catch every one. I mean,
I try to pay attention, but like I said last night, I'm not giving this boring game. I'm not giving them more publicity. It's obvious what they're doing. Like the Boast basket manipulation was used in the first half tonight. If you really watch the early shots, it was used early.
Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday. He just had a bad game last game, right? Last game?
Well, he had a good game before that. Last game was average. And he's an average dude.
He's an average dude.
And all of a sudden they showed it at the end like he's the big three. They showed he had 20 something, they showed Middleton and they showed Giannis.
I told my boy what you said. I said, Uncle A said, your boy gonna be the lovable loser because he's a big Chris Paul fan. I like Chris Paul, but he said 3-1. They brought that joke up during that when the commentator asked him about the 3-1, blowing the 3-1. Yeah, he's gonna blow it. He's gonna blow it. It's done.
They showed all his turnovers again before the game. That's point shaving. And do I have to make a video to see it? It's like they showing it. And I could tell they wanted me to make a video about it. But I'm like, you showing the point shaving. And tonight, the critical, who threw it away tonight? Critical was Booker. Booker threw that when they was down, down 1 or down 2? Booker threw the ball away. When Giannis got the breakaway, he threw that ball away. He went in traffic. He went in around 3 people on purpose so that he could, and then it could have been a foul. They've been calling it kind of close tonight. That wasn't even a foul. And
who came away with the ball and threw that ball to Giannis? They made him look like a star tonight. Yeah, they got it in. I mean, as far as that goes. But I think I dozed off on some of that third quarter. I said, "Oh snap!" I look at the phone, look and see if you hit me up or not. And I'm like, "Okay, I ain't missed nothing." And I kept going.
You did miss nothing. That's why I didn't even make a thing on it. It's like that basketball's so boring. But I'll say this: I think I found some of the ratings, and it looks like they won ratings last week. It's like they killed it. It looked like game 3 and 4. They killed it. Killed it. So,
see, we're looking at it because I'm an '80s baby, so we're looking at it like this ain't nothing like what we used to see. This ain't nothing like the '80s. But now I heard people say, I'm tired of seeing LeBron in there. I'm tired of seeing such and such in there. Yeah. Is the NBA listening like that? Like, are they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always. But you see how LeBron got that front row seat, and they showed him 2-3 times, and he wearing all them diamonds with the Kings. He didn't wear the cheetah print. He wear the paisley, but the paisley looked a lot like the cheetah print.
So you know what that means.
So he. But that shit, like somebody hit me in the comments, and they was right. When they said that Yosemite Sam was 42 inches, one of them was 42 inches. Remember they were saying how tall each person was? I didn't even catch it. I heard it, but I didn't catch it. Somebody was like, yeah, remember when so-and-so? And I'm like, you're right. One of them, they said how tall he was, and it was 42. So they planted it there. And then that shit at the end. And my son was saying, well, Dad, they probably showed it so quick that most people, it's a subliminal thing. But I'm like,
that's why they do it. That's exactly what, like, they put it in there so you can, I looked up and saw that, what you showed after you watched it. The reason why I sent you the thing on the aliens. The aliens, does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah.
So you look up in that video I showed you, and Marvin the Martian was in there. So they say Marvin the Martian is black. You know what I mean? So
if you look at him, he looks black.
Yeah, he definitely does. And then they still is UFO, right?
Yep.
Then they still is UFO. See, I saw that, but I was paying attention to that when I sent you that comic. Right. That was on that door.
Yeah.
I said, I wonder, is that a god that he worships or something? The thunder god or something? What was it? Then he's like this, and at the end, LeBron is like this.
Yep. Shock energy. Yep.
When he come down with the ball to dunk it.
Yep.
I said, I put 2. I said, let me show Unc this. I went and found all them comic book covers.
Yeah.
Because I never heard of them.
Yeah, that's the shock god. Shock, talala, shalala. When I talk about the were baby, that's how that comes from the omen. You know, the omic
Mm,
that comes from the omic. You know, that's
wow.
how old that is. You know, so they've been stealing these energies. Been stealing these energies.
So they chose a kid movie to put that. I mean, not that it's that bad, but I mean, I'll tell you, I look. He's talking to his son at the side of the bed. I said, "Oh man, what is that?" I looked at the name of it. I looked it up. I said, "Oh, I always said Thunder God, God of Thunder at the bottom." And then LeBron at the end of the game, he coming with the yeah.
Yep, yep. It's the
That little
same
stuff.
kind of. And think about it. What did he say? When we in the court, we playing the ball game. The ball
Playing the
game
ball
is
game.
in the lines,
Yeah,
you know, and that's what I talk about all the time. Where the energy is, the energies is in them
energy.
courts, and it never
Absolutely,
goes away. And
absolutely.
they kind of showed it with the force field barrier. I mean,
Yeah,
they didn't mean to show that as something positive, but that is how positive it is. That energy doesn't escape. That's what the force field barrier was trying to show you, that the energy stays on the court. So
when he
I
went to,
like.
when he went to touch his wife or the kids, and they go over there, they smacked against the window.
Yep.
Yeah, I called
Force field. They
it.
had a force field around the court, and I was like, hmm. So like that part was really cool because the energy always stays there. But I was like, okay, I felt that, and so it wasn't a total negative. Now I tell you, I watched Black Widow tonight. Uh, if y'all go to the movies, don't relax the chair back, or you'll go to sleep on that movie.
Yeah,
Super slow,
it's slow.
super slow. I ain't even finished it. I got about 20 more minutes to finish. It was like, and I've been watching it off and on all day, but it is that slow. So,
I watched it. It was a part. It was an action scene I woke up on, and it was only because I heard something, and I'm
uh-huh.
like, oh man! So I rewinded back, and it was when they was doing all that doggone talking. It was like, now we want to see some lasers and some slamming or something going on, see some action. But yeah, I finished it. I didn't see nothing in that yet. I wonder if Sly got something on
Uh,
that.
well, hey, remember the mother, the scientist. Remember the mother, the supposed mother was the scientist, and she talked about with the pigs, and she talked about free will. And that's the second or third story I heard talking about free will, that they
Free
try to
will.
interfere with your free will.
Right.
That's what she was saying. Like when she made the pig stop breathing and shit.
Yeah.
She's right in that sentence. She's like, yeah, they're trying to manipulate free will.
Free will.
Control free will. And that's
Control
like
free
the
will.
second or third show that I watched talk about that.
That's nothing but control. They just put in a nicer word.
Exactly.
The force field. When we talking about, I was about to say this. Isn't a magnet like a force field? Am I mistaken?
It could be like if you look at when you take the opposite, the pole, the opposite ends of a magnet, and you put those energies together, how they repel.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhat like that. Like even like I had a friend that used to do alarms and shit. And you know how motion detectors, and then movies would show like mirrors could break motion detectors. Like if the laser hit a motion detector, they were saying it wouldn't catch you. That you could bounce that reflection off. Now this is movies. I used to always throw this on him, and I tried it, and sometimes it worked. Don't work all the time, but sometimes it will fool the motion detector.
Right.
Not every time, but sometimes it will. But it just makes me think if that can't, and that's right. It's like the attraction that they could do to stop something is the same attraction they could use to bring it in.
Okay. Yeah. It's a crazy world we live in, but yep. It's almost like when you come on, it's like there, since I do not go to church no more.
Okay.
I meant to tell you this. I might have wrote it in the comments. This is like church.
Oh, okay.
And the more you're on, the more I feel like, hey, it's somebody else that I think you're where I want to be as far as thought.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say.
No doubt. I have no problem telling you that because I look up, I was like, man, it seemed like you, like I said, we go back to when I first started following the channel. It was a reason why Sly said that. And I was like, man, let me see what he talking about. And I'm like, oh man. I said, yeah, because I think a lot of stuff, and it's just weird now because people around you, they don't believe stuff is manipulated. They don't believe stuff and it's hard to talk. I kind of like being by myself, unless I'm playing with my daughter, where I get to tell her to use her imagination. I say your imagination is a big tool. She's 9 years old, and you should enjoy your imagination right now, because once you get to be grown, I mean, you can use it here and there, but enjoy it. You know.
That almost goes into wow, that hits deep, because that almost goes into like the imaginary friend, or even fairies, or even the gnomes, because it's like children are more receptive to those kind of energies, and it's almost like we've outgrown where we can't even perceive them, but a lot of times children can perceive them. Yeah, and that's through the imagination that they can perceive them.
Yeah, she say some crazy stuff, and I'd be like, man, nah, that's her imagination kicking. I ain't gonna take that away. But yeah, some of these, I mean, I just got tired of these guys. See, around here, everybody's a Bengals fan, a Browns fan, like in football. I said, y'all actually think Joe Burrow's gonna win a Super Bowl? You think they're gonna bring a Super Bowl down there? I said, nah. I said, I learned that as a kid. I said, they let me down too many times. And actually, I picked up on liking my actual favorite football team is the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
And the only reason I picked because the colors, and then the high school I went to was a Bronco. So later on, because I ended up, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a Bronco, man. You know, the kid thing. So, and then I got my aunt and uncle used to live in Colorado. I used to love it out there.
Okay.
I used to love it out there. I used to go past the stadium. Cousin lived by the stadium or something, you know. This is back in the 90s. So I said, I don't put that much faith in these teams. I said, the only reason I watch it is to try to win some money on it. And these guys be about to fight, shoot, and kill over this stuff. I'm like, yo, do y'all know that they're paid actors?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell people that, you know.
It is. So people understand that they're just actors. Just actors playing out roles.
Because my brother put up on Facebook today, he says he was back in LeBron's acting on the movie. And I said, well, him and Mike is both actors for real. They act on that court. I said, that was Bugs Bunny's show. I said, Bugs Bunny gave him a hand over, you know. Bugs Bunny let them shine. I said, what, they can't act. I mean, they can't act like that. I said, so some of the little cheesy lines and stuff that was said, you know, and they were talking about it. I said, nah, they both actors. They went over his head.
And I tell you, you just make me bring up, because like one thing in Space Jams, if you really show what Bug represented, Bug stood on his square. You know, them was tricked into going, you know, to something else that they thought was better, and Bugs was like, no, I'm standing on mine. We own this, so you can't persuade me to go somewhere else where I don't own it. So that was kind of a good lesson.
What was the population when LeBron got there?
It was 2.
Yeah, that's, you know, it was like, oh, he the only one that everybody else is everywhere else.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at as far as sports goes, and as far as life goes. I say stuff isn't what it's put out to be through media.
Absolutely. And I'll say, if Kwame has done the best thing he's done is call out the ones that's the haters on the players, because Skip Bayless built his career on hating on LeBron.
Right.
Hating on LeBron till LeBron won a championship. And then he had New Crow. And you got Stephen A. Smith, can't wait to belittle fucking Josh Gordon. I mean, you would see Josh Gordon on the sideline and you just see there was nothing there anymore. I mean, whatever they did to Josh Gordon, they took all the soul out of him over fucking weed.
Over weed.
You destroyed that man, took millions from him over fucking weed. And it did such a psychological job on him over freaking weed. Tortured him, really kind of torture in a way.
Speaking of which, is this Sherman's this Richard Sherman's contract here?
Yeah, well, he's a free agent.
Well, you see why that's going on. He said they don't want
to get interest in him. Yeah,
right.
He's done. I had a video of him on my other channel where he chasing people. He ain't even staying up with him. He's a zone coverer.
Ain't the same no more. But as far as it goes, they got him. They showed him raging. And I said last night in the chat, I said, he's like the little dog that you go get that done bit somebody in the neighborhood, and you go see him on the news and he got the muzzle on because he had the face mask on. They in court with the muzzle on. He ain't saying nothing. He just shaking his head. Yep. And they did the man like that.
You remind me of the quarterback from Denver. Remember, he ended up going to somebody else's house. He was at a party, and he was the backup quarterback in Denver, and he walked up into somebody's house. Number one, how you get in? And these was big houses. It's like, wait a minute, you telling me you don't lock your door in this big house? You ain't got somebody responsible that anybody at night can walk in your house? I mean, remind me of that story somewhat.
Was this who did that?
One of the backup
was it Osweiler?
No, this is a younger dude. This was like last season before. He had a good college career, but he ain't really making it in pros.
Well, it wasn't Simeon. It wasn't Paxton, because they got him up out of there.
Yeah, Paxton's playing in Canada.
They got him up out of there. I'm trying to remember who you're talking about. I remember the story.
Yeah, it was one of the court. Man, maybe I'm wrong with Denver, but it was one of the. I thought it was. I'm pretty sure it was Denver, and that's what it reminded me of. It was like this dude up in somebody's house, and then they suspended him for that. You know, he took some, medication. It's like with Tiger. I truly believe they tried to kill Tiger the first time when he got hurt. I think his injuries from being beat is what slowed Tiger down. It was something he didn't do, and he got professionally beat. You can't tell me the way he looked that the woman did that, or the woman got you, crashing somewhere.
We talking $1 billion here.
Exactly.
You go $1 billion. You're not getting close. Unless I want you near me, you're not getting close to me. That's crazy. You
and that he is so sloppy that he ain't have 2 phones. Like he ain't have a whole phone and the family phone. Keep your whole phone locked up.
So okay, you made me think about something. Kwame been getting on DJ Envy about when he got caught cheating, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's another way to shame a man, is to make him look like he's a sexual predator, a dog.
Yeah.
So they've been trying to shame Tiger a couple of times.
Oh, absolutely.
Even after he did, know who his dad was. His dad was, the offering. So even after that, they's trying to shame this dude. Everybody, it seemed like everybody that looked like a hero in our eyes, they getting hit somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, what athlete ever had to apologize nationally for fucking hoes?
And Broadway Joe on the sideline with a fur, let you know what's up.
Shit, Broadway Joe had gangsters up in his restaurant, prostitutes, gangsters, and they just made him sell the restaurant. They was like, well, you got these gangsters coming up in there, and you got to sell the restaurant, Joe. No suspension, no nothing.
That's crazy. I told a fella last night at work. I said, if you think about it, they had Chadwick Boseman. They had Chadwick Boseman play every last black hero onto the black superhero that outsold all the other heroes. They took him off the map. Yeah. He said, I said, y'all not thinking. I said, he brought you Jackie Robinson. Well, what was it first? Thurgood?
No, I think Thurgood was after.
Okay. So on down the line, now, James Brown was a bad man, Godfather of Soul. Then they let him play Black Panther.
Yeah.
Then he gets taken out. Whatever's going on with Bill Cosby, everybody looked at Bill Cosby as the dad. The American dad. Everybody that's our heroes, they cut down.
Yep.
You rarely hear about their heroes getting cut down. You got to dig and find and search for their stuff. So
yep,
it's crazy.
Good observation. Absolutely.
Yep.
Wow. Well, you got anything else going on, bro?
I'm trying to get. See, I only got 1 day off this week.
Okay.
And I was gonna start back setting up these beat machines and doing something, but I'll get into that and don't get no sleep. And I've been pushing it off. I got that going on. I got work. I'm working like a slave.
Now, is your daughter going into 4th or 5th?
She's going into 4th.
My daughter's going into 5th because in a couple weeks she'll be 10.
Okay. Wait a minute. Did I say that right?
Because you said she was 9.
She's 9. She'll be 10 in March.
Okay, next year. Okay, yeah. My daughter'll be 10 in a couple weeks. So she's young for her grade,
Okay.
But because she turns, she'll turn 10 right at the beginning of the school year. But
Mm-hmm.
whereas my youngest son will be 19 next month, or no,
Okay.
in September. He'll be 19 in September.
Yeah, I got one that's almost 30. I got a 23-year-old daughter. I got one that's almost 30. My two step boys, they having babies. They having babies. The grandson would be over here, but he probably over his. He's in Columbus.
Okay.
And then my middle boy here, he's about to have a little girl. So
Nice.
last weekend I was at a gender reveal. As soon as I came out the road, we were doing this and doing that, and yeah.
Nice.
Lo and behold, I'm a grandpa. Like so,
Good for you.
It'll be three of them.
Good for you.
Appreciate that.
My oldest it'll be 33 next month. Him and his girl is career people right now. I mean, my son is about to go on his master's. I think his girl is about to get her PhD. So and then my 26-year-old son, his girl, she just completed her 2-year nursing degree, and she's a nurse right now. She's working on her RN, like she's got about her last year of her RN. So, and my son is working and going to school, so they ain't really trying to have children right now. So
that's the smart thing to wait. I mean, you get your mishaps, but the smart thing is to wait. I was trying to tell them boys that, but they doing their thing. They moved out. That's how I'm in this room right here. It's kind of like I said, I'm gonna turn this into something else in probably the next couple of weeks or whatever. But yeah, that's all I got going on right now. Surviving and striving.
Right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it because
I told you I was gonna come on.
Well, I appreciate it. That's why I held what you told me. I wanted you to tell it instead of me telling it because you picked it up. So, you got any sites or anything that you can put out there?
There's another gentleman. He's young, but he throws some points out. You familiar with Dwayne McClain TV?
No, I'm not.
He pulls out a lot. He really goes in. He's a young guy. Couple of a lot of the other stuff I look at be goofy.
Okay. But do you have an Instagram or anything like that? You got Instagram?
Do I have Instagram?
I don't have Instagram. Do you?
Oh yeah, I got Instagram. It's the Allen Guy 1.
Okay.
I think my Twitter is P Leonidas 1.
There you go.
And my Facebook, well, my Facebook, Orndorff Paul.
Right.
See, I had to come up with these aliases because I wasn't gonna put Paul Allen up on the stuff. When I worked at the shipyard, you couldn't have a camera phone in. So I would duck it, even though I was a guard.
Right.
I was an arms government guard.
Right.
And they be like, well, something about somebody having a phone. I started getting smart on it. I knew how to duck it in my bag. So they say, yeah, we can see who's on social media from here. So I just start changing my name up everywhere.
Don't blame me.
Oh yeah,
they use that shit against people.
Yeah, they do. I don't say nothing about nowhere I work though. So that's the crazy thing. People say, "Oh, F this job," and they'll show you how to F this job. Get on about the gate. So, but yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that's all I got going on though,
Okay, well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. You have a good weekend. Get some rest.
Do the same. You still gonna be on?
Yeah, I'm gonna be on for a little while.
Okay,
we went on a good hour, so I appreciate you going an hour with me.
No doubt. We do this whenever you want to.
All right, just hit me
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find something pretty soon. So
well, you write notes and you let me know, and then we'll expose them. All right,
we'll do.
All right, have a good evening, man.
We just
That's brother PJ. That's always in the comments. And so I'm sorry. Let me catch up. Bucks will win. Adam says Bucks will win in 6. Win the series 4-2. Another Jackie Robinson. Shamey. Good one. Good catch, Adam. Chad Kelly. Yeah, there you go, James. Thank you. Chad Kelly was the dude that was the backup quarterback and walked into somebody else's home. But yeah, definitely Lobo, a humiliation ritual. So let's see what I missed. I've been watching. Oh, thank you for watching for a few years. I appreciate it. I saw the story for Tax Massacre. Interesting, British Clown. Like church. Yeah, I don't go to church. Yeah, I haven't been to church. They had my nephew's thing. If I'd have been there, I'd have went to that, but not listen to nobody. Super athletic, intelligent black man. Taskmaster, according to the comics, he is super intelligent black man. That's interesting. British Crown, thank you for joining. And if anybody, they completely screwed up Taskmaster. Oh, They did Black Widow dirty. Yeah, they made fun of her. They made fun of her the way her pose, you know. Yeah, the movie is just slow as hell. I mean, damn. I couldn't have sat through that. I couldn't have sat through that. So if I missed everybody, I'm sorry. Let's see. From Dwayne McClain, that dude. Okay, yeah, I'll check Dwayne McClain out. A dude hooped Villanova had a Dwayne McClain. He was actually kind of cold. Script was for the Bucks to win after game 4. Well, you know, I've said before, from the Gym City. Peace to PJ from the Gym City. I got to remember, they're not going to let the Suns burn their money. It's all about shaming the Sun and reinforcing the dollar. That's a good point. Good point. They had Taskmaster as a woman. Oh, my goodness. So you see how they even in the characters, they kind of demean the characters a little bit. But I was surprised to hear about the free will thing. That kind of surprised me. I was like, oh, okay, they mentioned this. So that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting. But the game tonight, again, I'm not giving these slow games. I had looked it up, and they surprised me that the ratings, it looks like they won in ratings. Let me see if I can find it where I put it. But it looks like they did win in ratings. But they had it. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know where I put it. Let's see if it comes in. Nope. I don't know. I put it somewhere. But it was so little. It was really hard to see. Even when you blew it up, it was like not in focus. It's like the information wasn't in focus, so I couldn't figure out why they did that. I thought that was really odd. But, you know, today was a cool day. Got to meditate, and that's really your own church. If you can meditate, that's your own, you know, working on you. Working on finding your light in the black. And that's what a thing I see, that when people say they light workers, they don't say anything about finding the white in the black. You know, creating your own light in the black. It's like they pretty much talk about the false light. And I don't tell people that, but I was like, when they say they're light workers or I work for the light, it's like, that's very vague when you can be really clear on what part you work with. And so it shows me that a lot of people aren't quite where they should be in their awareness. But it's not a judgment, but it's just saying that you are still depending on the light. And when in fact, it's like we say, when you die, you don't want to go into the light. You step back and go into the dark. And then you create your own light and what you created before you passed. That's what's taking memory into death is all about. Is all this. That's what meditating is. You're preparing yourself. You're preparing yourself to be immortal. But everything about this one want to make you just, you know, redo it again. I mean, Alan Watts did say something that made sense. And it is kind of like, it's not people constantly just, you know, jumping in and out. Like you die and you jump into something else. That's not really, reincarnation isn't totally like that. Like the Hindus want to show you, like they showed all the screens and you could pick which one where you want to jump into. It's not quite like that. Again, certain people will be able to go into their Akashic records. I mean, what is the movie with Jamie Foxx? The cartoon showed that when he's in the hallway and he's looking at his past life, that's his Akashic records. That's the easiest way for me to explain what that is. And so some of you will have that and then be able to, reflect on what you've done. And then, you see where you was balanced and then move on. They had a shooting at the Nets Padres game. Either 3 was shot or died. Yeah, Jeffrey sent that to me. I saw that earlier. I do believe there's a higher power, and I turn to him for comfort. But I don't want to be indoctrinated. That's a good point, because it really would be like Reverend Ike said. It would be the God in you. The good in you. That's what it is. It's you have all that ability. Again, when you dream, you can do anything. And then as you learn to control the dreams and turn it into a lucid dream, I mean, you have more than Thanos powers. It's a realm you can completely control all around you. And it's bringing that into this reality and the next. It's the same kind of thing if you practice. I got these damn hot, I don't like wearing them. I really probably should get a better pair, but like I can't imagine getting a better pair and the damn things make you hot under all these damn lights. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know about the the headphones. The headphones are hot. That was one thing when we used to mix that I didn't dig. Hey, Tiger Strong, that you know, have to wear the headphones when you're mixing, you know, to catch the beat. Didn't quite dig that because again, headphones is hot. And I tried the Apple earbuds, and I think because this system ain't a Mac, I think it distorts the sound. I think if I had a Mac system, the sound wouldn't be distorted. So I'm sure when I get I'm gonna take Civola, I'm gonna take his advice, and I'm gonna get a Mac tower and then get a Mac monitor, or just get a monitor. I think for my next setup, because this computer is slowly needing to be fixed. My daughter uses it more than I do, so. And cameras, I got a camera, but it's just not good enough. The phone camera, I like the phone camera. I'll say that. The Apple phone camera, it's Apple 12 Pro Max, whatever the hell it's called. I like the camera. I'm looking at this and looking at that. It's like, yeah. And even when I do the videos, it's not bad. So thank you, Anise. But I appreciate all the interest, all the support. That's why, you know, I do the divinations. That's why I do send crystals out. And I send crystal energies. Like when the Kundalini hits, I do try to pass it to everybody whenever you see this, that you can absorb some of that. Because that energy keeps giving. It's not like just this in the moment. It's like when I push Kundalini out, if you watch that video again, you can get a jolt from it every time. Because that can't be killed. Because I gave it from my heart. I gave it without expecting anything in return. So. Oh, Soap is up in here. What's happening, Soap? Did he get in here? Thank you for joining. And you know, this stuff is so boring. It's like, what did they show tonight? So the NBA Finals, and then I think the next week is the NBA Draft. So again, they're preparing you for once it's over, the next step. But I think going into the next game, I think someone said it's going to be 4-2 Bucks, which again, yes, I agree, definitely a Jackie Robinson. But I think when they go to Milwaukee, I wouldn't be surprised if Phoenix won and then force a game 7, which of course the Bucks will win. My only pause is they've really been concentrating a lot on Chris Paul, even showing his point shaving. And I don't care what anybody says, Chris Paul's point shaving. It's a lot of attention there. So that's the only thing that makes me like, why does he get so much attention? And then they lost again. So perhaps they are saving something for him. I don't know, but I just can't see. Got us the next face of the NBA. Yeah, CJ, he is. He's on the cover. I think of the newest, him and the female, Candace Parker. Her earlier, they said they talked about the Delta variant in Georgia. They pulling the plug on America. Well, you know, the new drip is. My mother and I was arguing. She was really arguing. I was just kind of laughing at her, but. She's like, you don't believe anything. I don't believe what they profess. I don't believe what they push, the fear they're trying to push. They're definitely trying to push a fear on people that didn't join the club. So if you didn't join the club, this is coming for you. We've got all these people in here that didn't join the club. And so that's why they're all in here sick, because they didn't join the club. So you got to join the club. We'll go door to door. You can go to the disco, the dance club, and we can serve you right before you go in there and shake your groove thing. We got it everywhere. There's no excuse. You know, you want to go to a picnic? It's in the park. It's in the freaking park if you want to go to a picnic. So, and they hate, see the critical race theory wants to ignore Tuskegee. Wants to ignore that and all the other things they do. Now, in Michigan, because pharmacy is there, it's constantly in the paper to join one of these studies. My cousin, that was his hustle. He would disappear for a few days, go in there and make that money. Because a lot of them, you got to stay there. And he was, he wasn't working, wasn't doing much. He was a census taker, to tell you his hustle. Was a picture of him on Facebook where they was using him as a census taker, because that's just kind of how he's flowed in his adult life. But he would see them little things where you get a couple grand and you be a guinea pig. And I even go a little further. There, in the part of Michigan I grew up in, they allowed the companies to destroy one of the prettiest rivers, one of our assets that should have been declared a national park. The Kalamazoo River in the 1920s or 30s, when Sports Illustrated wasn't even a magazine. They wrote short stories about sports in articles in certain papers, Sunday papers or some shit. They called the Kalamazoo River the best sporting river in the country in the 20s and 30s. This was the best sporting river in the country. In the late 1940s, 1950s, they let all these paper companies come in and dump and kill this river. And as I said before, when they kill a river, it's more than just toxins. You got to kill all the fairies, all the gnomes, all the things that spiritually protect the river. And the dude who started all this, they describe him as a Knights Templar. He's buried in Kalamazoo or Battle Creek. This is a brother that brought this magic into that area. Well, Western Michigan University has a degree where you serve the paper industry. You can get a degree in the paper industry. They got a whole building, what is the word I'm looking for? It's the paper building. When you major in paper production and all parts of it, they got a part there because of the paper companies that was in, Georgia Pacific was one of the last ones to leave. But they was allowed to kill this thing. Until this day, the water's terrible. And my brother always looked at, because people in Kalamazoo go crazy. I mean, even before crack, you were seeing just dudes lunched out. Before crack, people was just lunched out. Like no one knew what happened to them. They just lunched out. And my brother was saying he thinks it's something to do with that bad water. When you're on that side of town, it stinks. It stinks from the water, even because they put the wastewater treatment plant near the water, and the people are still drinking that water. Now, maybe it's filtered and stuff, but they've been drinking that water since the 60s, 50s, whenever they built that water treatment plant. So this might be a point that's making it the worst. All right, there are more Earths like super Earths. Are there more Earths like super Earths? People are the virus, quote unquote. From what I hear, it's supposed to be some sort of radar. I don't want to be used as an experiment. Paper mills. Yep. The world is not my home. I'll answer your question, Tiger Strong. How do I want to say this? Because it's not an easy answer. Because it can be thought of, then it probably exists. Because it is in people's imagination, something that probably exists. It was like the cat that I caught. This dude is telling all this in a trance and shit. What he had done and experienced. And one thing he said that I agree with, it was like, and Cyrus King said this as well. It was like he wanted to go to a planet. You just thought about it and you went. You didn't need any spaceship. But I say this dude that was in a trance telling this shit. But basically what he said was they would go to some place in the morning and they'd be back by night. So it appears like there is a branch that can do that. Again, spiritually, you can just have your own relationship with this, with these planets. And when you see the alignments, you can actually have a relationships with that. You can kind of trans through, like if you see a triangle in space, you can trans through that, or even two planets where you see kind of Jupiter and Saturn. That's the transing area. But when you see like Jupiter, Saturn, and the moon in a triangle, you really can get a deep trance in that type of triangle when you see the alignments that come up to be triangles. And so the question is yes and no. The question is yes and no, because in duality, that goes, duality goes with the faiths. There's always different paths, and each path has to be taken. So just because the physical you go to one path, the other parts of you go to the other path. Because especially if we're run by a machine, that's the way the machine thinks. The machine has to have all the answers of what if this happened. So it's a yes and no. America's done for. Well, if you look at the working people, well, what? Okay, I'll say this: the movie Black Widow showed one dude being in charge of everything, and he had the technology. He had the technology, and he was basically in charge of everything. That is probably a real possibility. That there is one king, or basically because that's what they like. They like to be the kings, each one of them. The Pope is the type of king. I mean, the way the Westerners go, they always want one person at top. That's how Westerners, or excuse me, that's how Europeans are really taught. That's how they're brainwashed. That's why they keep the king and queen in England, despite they're supposed to be a parliament government. Why do you like what makes no sense is when the parliament defeated the king, they didn't take all his property. Look in the rest of history, when a king is defeated, they take his shit, but not in England. The parliament defeats the king's forces and lets him keep his shit. Who does that? Who does that? Well, they thought, well, if we take all the king's shit and the people are going to feel bad that the king don't look like the king. So you know what? We just want the government. We just want the army. You can keep all your shit. You can still parade around here. We'll still have you come down to the parliament. So it tells you that shit's all bullshit and fake. How do you defeat somebody and you don't take their shit? That's never happened in the history of war. Giannis is back-to-back MVP, one All-Star. All he needs is the Finals MVP. Good observation. And they're probably setting him up for it, unless they want to say Holiday or Middleton. Because Holiday, I looked at his performance today. Now, Giannis got the numbers, but really you can look at Holiday's performance and say he's up for it as well. And Giannis' skill, again, fucking with him with the free throws, that shows the skill level. That showed the skill level to me. You can't, they counting and shit, and you can't shoot. I mean, you really can't shoot. Remember, he shot a deep shot, like inside the key, like he was like right around the key area, and he shot a deep shot, and he missed. I was like, oh, okay. Why they tell him to shoot that? Why did they tell him to shoot that? That made no fucking sense. But because they're trying to disprove his lack of ability. He's shooting 60% from the lane because that's the only shots he takes, because his game is so limited. And you see when they play a zone against him, that's why he's throwing the ball, kicking, and they're letting Tony Tucker hit one here or there, or Tucker hit one here or there. Middleton's going to hit one here or there. I mean, you can almost predict it because he's being stopped in the middle, so he's dishing when he was throwing flubber balls before. So, you dig? Oh, PJ, though, if I didn't thank you for coming on. If I didn't thank you very much for showing you, for sharing your knowing and your observation. If I didn't say this, thank that. And thank you always for the support. I appreciate that. So I'm going to cut it short tonight. I'm going to read the divination, and then I'm going to cut it a little short since I did come on early. I got a fairly busy day tomorrow. And what time is it? Oh, okay, it's 12:20. So we are 13 platoons, 0 cartoons, 8 tunes, 11 Uno, and we are 11 kin. So 11 Uno and 11 kin. And as I show and talk about this all the time, this is the only card. If you look in the Codex Bodacia, this actually is the day god and the night god. They don't say that, but that's what the original picture is really showing you. It's one of the few pictures of the day god and the night god. In this image on the card, we see the monkey and the skeleton, showing a connection. See, the skeleton has a name. Both of these characters have names. Showing a connection between two extremes of life, the dynamism of monkey and the immobility of death. The monkey holds a knife, death holds a heart. The fact that they share the same heart is showing that both are different sides of the same living being. Although the image of the knife and the heart may call to mind human sacrifice, It is important to note that the image comes from a pre-Aztec Toltec codex. This historic Toltec did not practice human sacrifice as the Aztecs did. The meaning of the image is deeply spiritual. And I want to even say this about the Aztec and human sacrifice. Again, like my brother sent me a book and it talks about the Aztec and human sacrifice. What you have to understand is all these writings about the Aztecs come after the Spanish come in. And the Spanish don't say the amount of people they killed. Now they'll tell you and write down all these numbers and festivals supposedly that the Aztec was sacrificing, but they don't say how they was just slaughtering people that didn't agree with them. So some of this, again, when you kill hundreds of millions of people, you have to have a story if all these bones is found. And it's easy to blame it on the Aztecs because it doesn't make the Spanish look as murderous as they were. In the abstract thinking, the Toltec understood the importance of being aware of our mortality in order to give your life its full value. In their symbolic language, the knife represents enhanced intention, also called second attention. The skeletal skull means transcendence, and the heart represents life. Thus, the image represents the achievements of transcendence in life that comes as a result of managing attention under the awareness of our mortality. The transcendence and special managing of awareness is what we call wisdom in the context of this card. Getting this card means you have to develop a passion for learning and understanding, a vocation for traveling deeply into the realm of knowledge, the skills to teach others. It is important here to consider the Toltec concept of teaching, which requires an understanding of the concept of learning. In their perspective, the learning process did not consist of the teacher having the knowledge and giving the knowledge to the students. On the contrary, it was the students who would get that knowledge by him or herself. The word for learning process was mnemonistic, which translates into teaching yourself. In that light, the role of the teacher was not to represent him or herself, the source of knowledge, but to support the students in the process so they can teach themselves. The bottom line for the Toltec sage was there is no other teacher than the Great Spirit, and the human teachers just supporters of that. They help their apprentices teach themselves by connecting directly with the Spirit without intermediaries. This is a sharp contrast with the modern attitudes of teachers or spiritual leaders who put themselves into a higher place to be admired by their followers, and which so often make profits out of their students' devotion. Because of this commitment to connect with the Great Spirit without our distracting intermediaries, there's not much room for worshiping people in the Toltec tradition. When the teacher forgets his or her connection with the sacred source of all knowledge, the soul dies as a result of a living fraud that needs to be worshipped by others in his or her life. And I will give the Mayan because it's the older energy. The Mayan is the older energy, so I will give that fractal out. And the Mayan should be Chichen. And the energy going in tomorrow is from the west. And Chichen says, as far as the Mayan, monkey, artist, trickster, principle of intelligence, of co-creation of the higher life. What do I want to say? Kind of lost my thought. It'll come back to me. Oh, I do want to say this. Since I do the She Legit, and one of my friends on Facebook shows she did it, and she ordered something off Amazon that I'm going to do, because what I think people don't understand is there are chemicals out there that will help your awareness, that will help your sharpness in your mind, and these things are natural. She Legit is natural. It is found in the same area where they find salt, the pink salt that salt lamps are made of. They're found basically in those same areas in the Himalayan mountains. And so just as that type of salt, or even the Dead Sea salt, is a better salt for you, really, the Dead Sea salt is really good for your skin. There are a lot of natural remedies that help you on being fine-tuned. And let me say this while I remember. It's like, really, you shouldn't be wearing sunglasses that often in the summer. This is the greatest time for you to get that natural vitamin D. When you wear sunglasses, it blocks you from getting vitamin D. Now, if the glare is so bad when you drive, that is understandable. But if you can help it, you shouldn't be outside with sunglasses on. And if you don't have to drive with them, don't. You should get all this. Now, I know some of you live in parts of the country where it's nice all the time. I'm not so much. it is only nice. Well, this year was nice. March, April, May, June, July, August, and I'll get a little bit of September. Normally we get June. Normally we get maybe May, June, July, August, and then the funky weather come back in here around September, October. So I think that's some advice that for those young, because right now they want me to take a statin because of my low LDL and my lack of the vitamin D, they tell me. And they was trying to give me all this. And the more I studied, I was like, this is a lot of poison they trying to give me. They're trying to really poison me. And so, like I told you, the medications I take is perfect. I said I hooped, shot. I shot a couple hundred shots the last 2 days. My patella ligament is killing me in both legs. My shoulders get to hurting just from shooting. So, but it's being active. That's for me. It's being active. Oh, thank you for your help, Anise. I appreciate it. And so, I'm not trying to be short tonight, but just had PJ come in. It's a chance for me to get a little more rest instead of ranting all night into the midnight hour. So I came in a little earlier and just wanted to touch base with everybody too. And, share my knowing, Brother PJ's knowing. I got a couple other people. Just one beautiful. I've got a beautiful lady that comes out of California that she's really a fighter, and I want to tell her story. I won't tell any of her story, but I want to tell her story. I got another friend in Michigan. She's a little shy around the camera, but she has a great story as well. Then I have a person here that she's already agreed to come, and she has a great story, and she's a local person. She teased me today about the rock place where I get most of my crystals has changed, and they've got a bigger place, and she's showing me pictures, like teasing me like, haha, I got here before you got here. But again, that's a place where I want to go live and show you, because I want to help people, because there's so many different ways to help yourself. Rocks is just one of them, but if you're not vibing high enough, they won't do you any good. So even before you get any kind of crystals or any of these things, you have to raise your vibration high enough to hear them. It's like you can have this, and for the average person, it means nothing. They can't feel anything. Most people, and it's not like and it's like they're not aware. I guess that would be greater than saying they're asleep. They're just not aware. I think that's the best way I could say it. There are people that just they'll never be aware. They're not aware of the things we see. And then the other thing is they try to put the spell on us of conspiracy theories. That they have nothing else they can say. So the average person that's not aware, they are so limited that they have to have a word that they copy, they parrot. Because I talk about at the end of the day is the parrot spell, so is security theorists. So is QAnon. These are all parroting spells. These are spells put out there. So people that aren't educated can latch on and put it in there. Put it in there. Because they're not aware. And you can't make them aware. That's the thing. You can't save them. They'll never be aware. They'll never be aware. So don't try to make them aware. You listen, know your audience. And that's what I would say, that the people that are just now coming to their awareness, know your audience. Know your audience. Well, as you know, I'm in with Mora. I'm going to cut it short a little bit tonight. This is fun. Mora, it all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact numbers of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. The civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent. And as the mind would say, I'm another yourself. And I want to say this about, all the things that's going on in Canada with burning the churches. And I know I've spoken on this before. I'm going to speak on it again. The Time Walking Papers, it definitely says the same thing, that they were trying to extinguish as many of these young people as possible. They brutalized these young people, and they had a free hand to kill them. And the Catholic Church was involved. They had a free hand to kill these people. They had a free hand to torture these people. They had a free hand to sexually abuse these people. That is why the churches are burning in Canada. Because the Canadian church, the Christian Catholic Church was ahead of these natives. And they did the same thing in America as they did in Canada. Because you look up the picture where you see all the native students standing up in the courtyard, and you see these priests in these pictures. So the same thing was done, and Meredith Quinn talked about this in the 70s. He was probably the first to say that, yes, we were getting abused. They were murdering people openly. People wouldn't learn English in 2 weeks. They would kill them. Meredith Quinn talks about them beating the child to death right in front of them because they couldn't learn English quick enough. So, thank you, everybody, for coming in. Tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, same time. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I'm your host, A When It's Timeless. Till we meet again.